Hello everybody, it's Claire back with another art journaling video. Today I'm working in my Square Dylusions journal on a double page spread, just adding a bit of gesso to the pages, and then I'm going to be using underpapers on my page today. So basically these are pieces of paper. It's actually newsprint paper that sometimes I have on the desk underneath where I'm working, and quite often I'll just use up any leftover paint on them, and they're great for then using for an instant background. Sorry about the focus of the camera there. They can give you a great start, and they're also really good at kind of getting rid of the white page, which some people find really quite daunting. So you can see I'm just tearing it into pieces and slapping it down with some gel medium and just getting some colour onto the background just to get me started. So once I'd finished adding the underpaper pieces onto the background, I then colour matched the paints and found the ones that I'd used on the underpaper, so that I could then use these on the background of the page. So the colours that I had, they're Amsterdam acrylics. It's light rose, quinacridone rose light, permanent red violet, and olive green light as well. And I just start off by using a fairly wet brush, but not dripping wet, and just adding a little bit of paint onto the page, just to sort of get rid of some of those other white areas and just to blend the underpapers into the background. And then I'm doing some stenciling as well, using one of the Dina Wakley new stencils called Bumps, and then this is the Mantra stencil, and you can see that I'm just using the colours that I selected and white as well. So this is a stencil called Marks, and it's a new Dina Wakley one as well. And I'm just using another of the colours, and this one is the permanent red violet, just to add some stripes. And then I'm using this turquoise as a contrast, and I'm just adding some marks onto there using that as well. So I really loved how this background came together, and it all came from using those underpaper pieces to start off as a kind of as a starting point, I guess. This was a face that I had drawn, so I was just deciding where I was going to put it, just fitting it onto the page. I'm just rubbing out the pencil marks of where I'd drawn it, and then I'm just using a glue stick, as you can see, to stick it in place. This face was just drawn on ordinary printer paper, so if you're interested in learning to draw faces similar to these, there is a course on my website called Let's Face It, and I take you through the whole process of how I draw faces. So then I'm using Dina Wakley's block alpha stamps, and I'm just stamping using white ink onto black card. The reason I'm doing this is because what I'm going to do is cut out the letter shapes, and I want it to be left with the white around them and the black border too. This was a little bit fiddly, but I was really pleased with the effect when it was done. So I think, you know, with doing cutouts like this, the secret is really to just take your time. Obviously I've sped this up so that you're not sat for hours and hours watching long videos where I'm cutting painfully slow things out, but really just take your time and, you know, obviously be careful of your fingers. I haven't got the steadiest hand, but I think, you know, it's something the more you practice, the better you get. So there you can see that was the effect that I was going for, so that the background would peep through where I'd cut the letters out. So then I stuck these in place using a glue stick. I was really pleased with how this looked, and then I had an idea of using the white gel pen to just outline the letter, the block alpha shapes. but I got sort of nearly to the end and decided that it looked really pants. So because it was still wet, I was able to use a baby wipe and just rub those lines away. So that was quite lucky. So then I'm using this butterfly stamp. It's actually a moth stamp, sorry, from a Daniel Mac stamp set. And this is one of my favourite stamps. And I'm going to do the reverse stamping technique as well, where you use a gel plate and you can stamp the same image on the back. I'm sorry, I can't seem to speak tonight. You can stamp the same image onto the back. So you see, you stamp it onto the gel plate, place your image on top, and when you lift it up, you've got the same image on the back. So I repeated this process for all three of these moths that are going onto this page, and then using some watercolour paints I just gave them a little bit of colour. So once these were dry, it was a case of then trying to decide where I wanted them to go. And I knew that I kind of wanted them to overlap the page a little bit. I wasn't worried about them hiding the things that I put on there, because I was going to do them so that they would lift up. So you can see I'm just working out how I'm going to do it. And in the end, I decided I was just going to staple them in place. And I really loved how this page came together. There we go. And then to finish it off, I just did my usual bit of mark making using a Posca pen. And that's really the finished page. So I hope you've enjoyed this page, and you can see how using underpapers can help you get started. So thanks for watching.